Jungkook, wait for me. A small boy with bright eyes and messy brown hair ran across the garden, his laughter ringing like wind chimes. His shoelaces were untied, his sweater was too big, his cheeks were flushed pink from the cold. Wei, Kim Taehyung, the only person Jungkook had ever loved. You're slow, Jungkook teased, pretending to run faster. We stopped, crossed his arms, and pouted. You promised you wouldn't leave me behind. And Jungkook had answered without hesitation. I never will. They were 10, too young to understand fate, too innocent to know promises sometimes break. The rain had always sounded like grief to Jungkook. Soft, persistent, unending. It tapped against the large glass windows of his office, tracing invisible lines down the city skyline. Seoul was alive outside, cars rushing, people moving, lights blinking, but inside his chest, everything had been frozen for 15 years. 15 years since that night. 15 years since the car accident. 15 years since we disappeared. Jungkook, you can't keep doing this. His mother's voice echoed in his memory. Gentle, worried, exhausted. He sat behind his massive desk, CEO of John Industries, at just 28, yet he still felt like the 10-year-old boy standing outside a hospital, waiting for someone who never walked out. They're gone, Jungkook, his mother had whispered back then, but he had refused to believe it. Because they never found V's body. Not him. They said the car crashed into the river during heavy rain. They said V's parents died instantly. They said the current was too strong. But Jungkook had searched the riverbank for days. He had screamed V's name until his throat bled. He had waited. And he was still waiting. Another proposal came today. Jungkook didn't look up from his documents as his older brother, Min Yoongi, known to most as Suga, leaned against the door frame. I'm not interested. You didn't even ask who. It doesn't matter. Yoongi sighed. Mother is worried. She shouldn't be. You're almost 30, and you can't live in the past forever. That made Jungkook finally look up. His dark eyes were cold, but beneath that, Yoongi saw something fragile. I'm not living in the past, Jungkook said quietly. I'm waiting for my future. Yoongi didn't respond, because he knew who that future was. We. They had been 10 years old. We had always hated regular milk. He would scrunch his nose dramatically and say, it tastes like sadness. But strawberry milk? He loved it. Jungkook would always buy 2 cartons after school. They'd sit in the small garden behind Jungkook's house, the one with the old wooden swing and the cherry blossom tree. Promise me something, we had said once. What? If I ever disappear, you'll come find me. Jungkook had laughed. Where would you go? We smiled, that soft, boxy smile that made Jungkook's heart do strange things even at 10 years old. I don't know, but promise, I promise. Jeon Enterprises stood tall in the center of Seoul, powerful, intimidating, successful, just like its CEO. But power meant nothing when your heart was stuck 15 years in the past. Next applicant, HR announced. Jungkook barely glanced at the file in front of him. Name Kim Taehyung. Age 27. Applied position marketing strategist. He almost didn't look up. Almost. Good afternoon, the applicant said. And Jungkook's world tilted. The voice. Soft but deep. Warm like autumn. He slowly raised his eyes. Brown hair. Gentle gaze. Sharp nose. A beauty mark near his lip. His breath caught. Not possible. Not. Mr. John? Jungkook blinked. Focus. It wasn't him. It couldn't be. But the resemblance? What makes you suitable for this position? Jungkook asked, voice controlled. Taehyung smiled politely. I'm hardworking, I learn quickly, and I really need this job. There was something in his tone. Loneliness. Jungkook's hands trembled under the table. What's your favorite drink? He suddenly asked. The HR manager looked confused. Taehyung blinked, surprised. Strawberry milk. The room felt smaller. Jungkook swallowed. And your favorite food? Kimchi, especially homemade. The air left Jungkook's lungs. No, it was coincidence. It had to be. He quickly closed the file. You're hired. HR stared at him. Sir, but you'll work as my personal typing assistant. Taehyung looked surprised. I applied for marketing. This position pays more. Silence. Taehyung bowed slightly. Thank you, sir. As he left the room, Jungkook's chest tightened painfully. Those eyes. They had looked at him once before. In a garden. Under rain. Saying, don't leave me. That night, Jungkook stood alone in the childhood garden. The swing still creaked softly in the wind. The cherry blossom tree had grown taller. He held 2 cartons of strawberry milk in his hands. His voice trembled. If this is some kind of cruel joke, he whispered into the night, I won't survive it. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in 15 years, hope hurt more than grief. He grabbed the old wooden box from his drawer. Inside were memories frozen in time, a broken bracelet, a photograph of 2 boys covered in mud, and a small milk bottle cap. Strawberry flavored. Jungkook whispered into the dark. If it's you, come back to me. When Taehyung started working, Jungkook found excuses to keep him nearby. Type this. Stay late. Come with me to the meeting. And every time Taehyung laughed softly at something, Jungkook's heart cracked. It was the same laugh. But Taehyung looked at him like a stranger. No recognition. No flicker. Nothing. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't imagining it. The similarities were too precise, too specific, too painful. If this was fate, then fate had a cruel sense of humor. Because if Kim Tae-hyung was truly V, then why didn't he remember him? And if he wasn't, why did Jungkook feel like his heart had just come home? Jungkook had told himself he would keep distance. Professional, cold, unaffected. It lasted exactly 3 hours. Taehyung sat at the desk just outside Jungkook's glass office, fingers flying across the keyboard with surprising rhythm. He typed the way he used to draw as a child, brows slightly furrowed, tongue pressing gently against the inside of his cheek when concentrating. Jungkook watched through the glass more than he should have. It was dangerous. Every small habit felt like someone reopening an old wound. One evening, while they worked late, Jungkook asked casually, where have you spent your childhood? Taehyung's fingers paused on the keyboard. I don't really remember, sir. I was told I was found after a car accident. I lost my memory. I grew up in an orphanage. The world tilted. A car accident. 15 years ago. Jungkook's pulse roared in his ears. Which orphanage? Taehyung hesitated. The one in Busan. I don't remember much before that. Busan. That's where V's accident happened. Jungkook could barely breathe. That night, Jungkook couldn't sit still. He drove to his brother's studio unannounced. The music inside stopped when he entered. Sugamin Yoongi looked up from behind his soundboard. You look like hell, Yoongi said calmly. I need your help. Yoongi leaned back in his chair. That sounds something serious. Jungkook didn't smile. There's someone at my company. Yoongi raised an eyebrow. And he reminds me of V. The room went quiet. Yoongi's expression changed, slightly subtle but noticeable. Don't, Yoongi said immediately. Don't do this to yourself again. You're not a child anymore, Jungkook. I know what I saw. Or what you want to see. Jungkook's jaw tightened. He likes strawberry milk. Yoongi coughed lightly. Half the country likes strawberry milk. He prefers homemade kimchi. Yoongi didn't respond. He was found near a hospital 15 years ago after a car accident. That made Yoongi sit up. What? Yoongi's eyes darkened. You think he's we? I don't know, Jungkook admitted. But if I'm wrong, I need to know. And if I'm right. His voice broke. Yoongi stood slowly. Give me the details. Yoongi had always trusted facts more than emotions. Facts didn't tremble. Facts didn't cry. Facts didn't hope. But ever since Jungkook walked into his studio with shaking hands and whispered, I think he's we, Yoongi had felt something dangerous stirring inside him. Hope. Jimin and Taehyung were living together while they adjusted their lives after orphanage. Jimin opened the door when Yoongi arrived. You must be Jimin. The blond boy blinked up at him, sharp eyes, protective posture. And you are? Min Yoongi, Jungkook's brother. Jimin stiffened slightly. Taehyung's boss? Is something wrong with Taehyung? Yoongi noticed that instinct, immediately the defensiveness. You care about him. Jimin's jaw tightened. He's my family. I need to ask you something important, and I need you to be honest. Jimin studied him carefully before nodding. Fine. How long have you known Taehyung? Yoongi asked. Jimin didn't hesitate. Since we were kids. How old? 11. Yoongi's pulse skipped. That was 15 years ago. Jimin nodded slowly. Yes. Yoongi leaned forward slightly. Tell me everything. Jimin exhaled. We grew up in the same orphanage. I had already been there for 2 years when they brought him in. He looked down briefly, as if replaying the memory. He didn't speak much at first. He used to sit near the window and just stare at the rain. Yoongi swallowed quietly. What did they tell you about him? Jimin's voice softened. The hospital said he had been in a very bad accident, a car crash. They said he was found unconscious and brought in by emergency services. Yoongi's fingers curled slightly. How long was he hospitalized? A year, Jimin replied. He was in a coma for almost 12 months. Yoongi's eyes widened. A year? Yes. Jimin nodded. When he finally woke up, he didn't remember anything. The words settled heavily between them. No parents, no name, no past. Yoongi's voice dropped. They gave him the name Kim Taehyung? Yes, Jimin confirmed, because the hospital couldn't find any relatives to claim him. Yoongi's heart pounded steadily now. Did he ever talk about memories returning? Sometimes, Jimin admitted, he'd have headaches, flashbacks, especially when it rained, but nothing clear. Yoongi felt cold. Did the hospital say where he was found? Jimin hesitated. Yes. Yoongi leaned closer. Where? Near a riverbank. The world seemed to narrow. Riverbank, Yoongi repeated quietly. Jimin nodded. They said someone found him there 15 years ago. A man walking near the water saw a child lying unconscious. He called the hospital immediately. Yoongi's throat tightened. And no one came looking for him? Jimin shook his head slowly. They waited for months. No family, no reports matching him. Yoongi's voice became almost a whisper. Do you know which hospital? Jimin nodded. Seoul Central.